Little change of tune here, Maz?
Well, so again, somebody from the Red Sox finally came out and said, boy, we have an exciting team, a fun team, and we're going to be looking at deals here to see what we can do, and hopefully we get the right one. And I'm paraphrasing now.
Or at least might someone have said, we're having a really fun year. People are excited. Let's represent that in our commentary.
Right, exactly.
Let's at least sound like we're into the season.
Right, and so Sam did. And again, there were two comments. This was the second of the two, which was stronger. Again, at the very beginning of it, you hear Tom Caron present a scenario on the NESN pregame show where he asked Sam directly, like, if this scenario presents itself, would you take on the payroll to add to this team?
Without question.
There you go, without question. So there's a definitive yes, we'll buy if we can buy. Okay, yes, we will buy. We won't sell. So that in and of itself is newsworthy. Like, okay, see, was it that hard?
I mean,
and he still left himself some wiggle room, which again, from his standpoint, is smart. There's no guarantee you can make the deal you want, but you should be able to do something. There is something to be done out there, and you can do it. This team warrants it. They're in the playoffs right now. Like that, the fact that they played 90 games and they couldn't get someone to say that to me is ridiculous.
Oh my God. Or at least give me some tone. Are you excited about your team?
Which brings me to the second point. This makes Craig Breslow look like kind of a clown, a puppet. So, and Jared Carabas touched on this at the beginning of the show last night on the Baseball Hour. And I say at the beginning because the Sam Kennedy thing didn't come out till later. Okay, so this was Carabas's point beforehand that, Craig Breslow really wasn't going to make the call. It was going to be John Henry at the end of the day, and that Breslow was powerless. Then Sam comes out, says what he said. In the last few days, going back to Sunday night, Craig Breslow has had two press conferences. Let's call them press conferences. Interviews. He did an interview with Carl Ravitch on ESPN on Sunday night, which we played. He then did a podcast with Sean McAdam and Chris Cotillo of Mass Live. Was asked about the trading deadline, was very non-committal, very bland, very hands-off. Then Sam goes on and says, Jimmy, what was the answer again to Tom?
Without question.
So then Sam goes on and says, oh, no, we're going to buy. Oh, this makes Breslow look like a puppet.
He is.
I understand, but it
I know.
It really makes him look kind of like just the guy who's, ultimately going to make the phone call, but not the one making the decision. It was the same thing with Bloom, and this has sort of popped into my head over the last couple of days too, in the midst of all these Breslow answers. He's not even supposed to be a GM yet. He's not even supposed to be a GM. The idea for them originally was to bring him in as like a second in command, let him learn, and then somewhere down the road he would run his own thing.
Run the pitching department kind of thing, right?
Yes.
He was like 11th on the list, wasn't
he? But so many people turned them down, they didn't have a choice. So they were left with a guy running the operation that's not ready to run the operation, a la Chaim Bloom. It's almost the same thing all over again. But at least somebody yesterday said, yeah, this is a fun team. They get some attitude. I think Sam even at one point said they have a kind of team of destiny. Oh, no, they're on a mission is what he said. Mm-hmm. They are on a mission. Like, okay, there you go.
Took you long enough.
Right. It's like everything up until then was, well, we're still going to evaluate. Meaning you didn't believe in them. Or suggesting that you didn't believe in them. So I just think Breslow's taken such a massive hit this week in the last 3 or 4 daay. Unbelievable.
I just want to say I never believed. I'm sorry I did. I based the press conference. I did the same thing with Bloom and Breslow. If you go back and, not that I'm asking you to, why would you want to do this? But if you listen to the show, the day that they introduced Chaim Bloom and the day they introduced Craig Breslow, it was like almost the exact same show. I listened to this kid, that kid, and said, nope. This is another clone. This is just another one of these guys. Not ready, in over his skis, hyper analytically driven, which means he doesn't know the sport, doesn't have a feel for people or the sport or the game. He's just an analyst. And I know Breslow played, but you wouldn't know it. Doesn't sound like he's talking about sports. When he talks about sports, you could tell. Just another one of these guys. So, I don't trust him to make the right call, but at least step one. The organization is at least presenting itself as being interested in this team.
But has that tone changed? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been away. But did I see it feels to me like their hand is being forced by the numbers? Didn't Fangraphs come out and say they have like a 50% chance of making the playoffs or something recently?
On Sunday night, it was 43.
Yeah, 43 on Sunday.
So
yeah.
that's what this is reflective of. Like their hand has been forced into this. Like they got to do something.
I think it's more reflective of they're finally sort of pivoting because of public pressure, because of the commentary. I think it's really grown in the last couple of weeks. Like, you're not going to do anything. You're still evaluating? What are you evaluating? As Maz said yesterday, so definitely. 90 games into the year, they're in the playoffs. They have an MVP candidate, a Cy Young candidate, and a Manager of the Year candidate. What are you evaluating? It's over. This is what you are.
No, they're going to wait for the 2 weeks coming up because that's more important.
Okay.
They're
Like,
going to wait for the
that's-
day of the deadline.
Right,
Yeah,
that's the part that blows me away. Like, the analytics are all based on sample size. So you have a 90-game sample, but no, we're going to put that to the side and wait for the 2 weeks.
Doesn't serve our agenda, so we'll wait for the 2 weeks.
Well,
Exactly.
the point is everyone's hammering them for that over and over and over again. And every time that freaking automaton, Breslow, comes out and says something about my job being long-term and short-term and you can't, and the evaluation and just nonstop hammering, the team finally, they used to respond much quicker. This, because they don't care like they used to. It took them longer, but they finally, I think, sort of said, well, we got to answer to this. We've got to respond to this. We've got to present the right face to the whole thing. And so that's what I think you're hearing.
Yes, it's how can you play that many games, be in the playoffs, have some of the players and perform the way that they have performed, and I'll throw the manager in there too, uniform personnel, as I like to say. Have those people perform the way they performed and say, we're going to wait a little longer. We don't believe yet. We're going to see how it goes. We think they could fall on their faces any minute, frankly. Like, that's what it felt like.
Definitely.
Totally. And that's what it was, because this team has surprised them. They did not expect this. And I don't care what they say on some level, they did not want this, because they don't really want to have to give up any sort of prospect or minor leaguer
Or money.
right, or money for a team that they think is not going to win a championship, which is a terrible way to do business.
The worst. Just about the worst.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Maz here. For more Red Sox analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.